At what point does sexually exploiting someone make you a victim? Because that's what Hell of a Boss seems to want me to believe. Not that Stolas is perfect, not even that he is mostly right, but that in his relationship with Blitz, he is the victim. And after rewatching the series, I legitimately cannot understand why. Because when I look at how these two met, how their arrangement worked, and how Stolas treated Blitz throughout most of the show, I don't see a victim. I see someone who helped create this mess and never really had to answer for it.
You are so cute when you are serious.
When Stolas is first introduced onto the show, he just seemed like some rich prick. A guy who just uses Blitz for sex and nothing else. In the very first episode, we have Stolas calling Blitz, while Blitz is trying to run from a country chick with a shotgun. Blitz even makes it clear to him that he called it a very bad time, and he is in fact running for his life. But Stolas doesn't even seem to register what Blitz is saying, and just keeps talking, telling him that he wanted to continue their last conversation, and talk about how, from this point forward, once a month, Stolas is going to need Blitz to give him back his grimoire, the magical book of spells that Blitz has been using to access the human world, in order to off the people that his clients need him to. And you know, the entire foundation of Blitz's business. So when we first meet Stolas and Blitz, this is their first interaction, and it sets the stage for what we can expect from the two of them. It's Blitz being inconvenienced by Stolas' call, but choosing to answer anyways, because he has to. Blitz is also running for his life, and telling Stolas just as much, but the guy just keeps talking, seemingly unconcerned with Blitz's safety. He then tells Blitz that he's changing the terms of their agreement. This conversation establishes their relationship to the audience. Stolas is an extremely sexual guy, to the point that he spends the latter half of this conversation just talking dirty to Blitz. But he's also quite narcissistic. Blitz is about to die, and he's just focused on getting laid. He doesn't even notice that Blitz is no longer on the call. The conversation also makes it clear that Stolas has all the power in this relationship. It's obvious that Blitz doesn't want to be talking to Stolas right now, and doesn't exactly love the terms of the agreement. But he does it anyway because otherwise, he'd be out of a job. The relationship is also very clearly transactional. Stolas even says that it's favors for favors. There are no emotions invested here, and the rest of the first season just works to further strengthen that idea. In the very next episode, Stolas goes to Lululand with Octavia and invites Blitz to come along, and this is how he greets Blitz.
Why, hello, my big-dicked Blitzy.
Blitz doesn't like the name Blitzy, he doesn't like the comment, and he doesn't like the fact that Stolas wants him to be his bodyguard. But Stolas literally says that he'll pay him to come along, and Blitz agrees. Stolas knows that Blitz needs his resources, and has no issue using that fact to get Blitz to do what he wants, even when it's something that Blitz explicitly says he doesn't want to do. He also has no problem catcalling Blitz during the Harvest Moon Festival, in front of a whole crowd of imps, even though he knows that Blitz hates it when he does that. The first season of Hell of a Boss makes it clear that Stolas and Blitz are both just using one another, but Stolas has all the power in their relationship. It's his book and he gets to dictate the terms. But then, things begin to change in episode 7 of season 1.
I'll wear something nice. It's a big deal after all. See you love bugs later!
In episode 7, Moxie and Millie go to Ozzy's, the premier restaurant in the Lust Ring, to celebrate their 1-year marriage anniversary. Blitz decides to invite himself because he's lonely, but the bouncer tells him that the restaurant is couples only. So he decides to invite Stolas. Stolas gets ready, putting out all the stops. The two of them then find a table and sit down. During the date, you can clearly see that Stolas wants to get closer to Blitz. He dressed up, he's asking Blitz why he invited him out, he's trying to hold his hand. This isn't just Stolas going out with the imp he sleeps with. He's genuinely interested in him. But after the two of them are recognized, and Stolas is called out for the fact that he gave up the perfect life just so that he could sleep with some low-class creature, he hides his face out of shame, and Blitz is left feeling humiliated and worthless. When they get back to his place, Stolas tries to get Blitz to come in, so that the two of them could just chill and spend the evening together, but Blitz rejects the idea, and tells Stolas to stop pretending that there's anything more to what they have. It's simply a transaction, and Stolas makes that clear all the time. And I'm gonna be real honest with y'all, I don't mind this. Scratch that, I actually really like it. I like Stolas being ashamed of his feelings for Blitz, and Blitz believing that Stolas could never love him. Blitz is dealing with feelings of inadequacy and major self-hatred, while Stolas is a prince of hell who was raised in a system that places more value on him and his life than that of most people in hell, especially imps. So he feels trapped by that system. People look at him and think that he has it all, must be happy. But he isn't. Maybe his behavior is the only way he can express his feelings for Blitz, because people will understand him using an imp for sex, but not him being in a relationship with one. Even when the second season started and we saw Stolas' backstory and how he was raised by a father who was physically and emotionally abusive, I was still very much on board with all of this, in a world where his feelings didn't matter at all. So when he got older, he went through a period of deep sorrow, where he was trapped in a loveless marriage with a woman who hates him and demeans him. He chose to stay for his daughter, and because he felt his feelings were irrelevant. But then he gets a taste of living a life that makes him happy, and he's just been doing whatever makes him happy ever since. Going through a phase where his feelings are all that matter, as a way of making up for all of those years when he ignored those feelings. If it doesn't involve Octavia, it can be very self-centered, but you can understand why that is. So up until this point, I was chilling, bruv. I was enjoying some popcorn and waiting to see where this would go. But I'm making this video right now, so you can probably guess that it didn't go somewhere good. And you'd be right. And the reason for that doesn't even have much to do with the character himself. It has to do with the show trying to pretend that everything he did was okay.
Do you feel any kind of remorse for what you do?
What really pisses me off about season 2 is how it tries to make Blitz out to be the bad guy in this situation. Now, I want to be clear. Blitz is no saint. He's selfish, abrasive, needlessly aggressive in a way that can be quite destructive and overall just a mess. But that doesn't mean that just because Blitz is a mess, Stolas now gets to be a saint. And I'm sick of this show trying to make Stolas some tragic hero. My biggest problem with Stolas is that there's no actual development. He spends most of season 1 catcalling Blitz, exploiting him, and making him feel uncomfortable after he's repeatedly said that he doesn't like it. In season 2, he's noticed the power imbalance in their relationship, and is starting to think that maybe, just maybe, the only reason Blitz pays attention to him is because if he doesn't, he'll be out on the street. Crazy, I know. So, he wants to fix this by giving Blitz a gift that allows him to do his job without needing Stolas, which is actually a really good first step. But then he just stops walking. Stolas gives Blitz a way out. They fight, shit happens, and the two of them get together without resolving any of their issues. The power imbalance wasn't the only problem in their relationship. It was Stolas ignoring Blitz's feelings and only focusing on his own. It was Stolas behaving as if he's above Blitz and other imps. It was, yes, the power imbalance, but it was also the fact that Stolas had no problem taking advantage of that imbalance when it suited his own ends. But the only thing that is ever addressed is the power imbalance. Everything else is just swept under the rug. We never actually see Stolas apologize for all the stuff he's done or commit to being better. He just sings about how if Blitz is only there as a prisoner, that would make him a monster. And he does so in private. But you know what? That's also fine. I honestly don't need characters to be perfect people. In fact, I tend to resonate more with characters who are pieces of shit in the beginning. And even as they try to get better, they either take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, or just don't fully realize the extent of the damage that they've caused. And they need other people to help them see it. There's something innately human about those characters that I can't help but love. There's nothing wrong with having a character who's an asshole, as long as you make it clear to the audience that this person sucks. But this is where Helluva Boss is just built different, because they instead decided to make Stolas a victim of Blitz's fear of commitment. Because of course they did.
I didn't realize you think so low of me.
By the way, I'll be releasing another video pretty soon about how Helluva Boss, and really the whole Helluverse in general, tends to just take characters who behave terribly and decides to make them victims as a way of excusing their behavior, instead of actually writing characters with any layer of complexity to them. So be sure to subscribe if you want to see that video when it drops. Now, I want to welcome you all to Apology Tour, my least favorite episode in this show. For context, in the last episode, Stolas gave Blitz an Osmodian crystal, which would allow him to go to Earth without needing the grimoire. He then told Blitz that he has feelings for him. Blitz thinks he's joking, and Stolas takes that as a sign that Blitz doesn't feel the same. Blitz then gets mad at Stolas for springing this on him, and then seemingly dismissing him, which results in Stolas throwing him out. Fantastic, we're all on the same page now. As I was saying, Apology Tour is basically Stolas asking Blitz if he ever feels bad about the people he's hurt, specifically all of the exes he's hurt with his actions, due to his fear of commitment. And Blitz then deciding that as an FU to Stolas, he's going to spend the whole day apologizing to the people he's hurt. The day then ends with him going to a party that all of his exes attend every year in order to celebrate their hatred of him. Now, I have a few issues with this episode. The first being the fact that Stolas was even invited to this party. They weren't dating, the whole thing was transactional. But whatever. Fucking Dennis got an invite to this shindig, so I guess it's not that big of a leap for the thirsty bird to get an invite too. The big problem with this episode is how it tries to frame Stolas as a victim of Blitz. The show has him sing with Verosika in text about how he got too close to Blitz, how awful Blitz is, how he hurt him, and how what they had meant nothing to Blitz. Brother, be so fucking for real right now. You started this whole mess by making Blitz your hooker. The last time this was brought up, Blitz made it clear that that's how he would categorize your relationship. And now you're shocked that the guy doesn't see you as anything more than some sex-crazed rich exploiter who he sleeps with in order to keep his business afloat? Are you mental? The funniest thing about this episode is that for a moment, it seemed as if they were actually going to have Stolas reflect and think about what he did that caused things to end up the way they did. That maybe he read the whole situation wrong and screwed up. But then because that would be too complicated, he just continues to make Bliss the bad guy. Bliss then goes on to talk to Verosika about his love life. And this conversation is emblematic of everything that's wrong with this entire episode. During the conversation, Verosika helps Blitz realize that the problem isn't just the fact that he didn't love her the way she loved him. It's how he treated her. He's done everything humanly possible to hurt Verosika and make it clear that he doesn't love her. He delivered the message in the shittiest way possible. Which is actually a pretty good lesson. Just because you don't want a relationship doesn't mean that you have to treat the people who want to be in one with you like shit. In general, just don't treat people like crap. However, the problem comes in when Stolas is used as an example of someone that Blitz hurt. Because Blitz definitely needs to be more aware of how his actions affect the people around him. But as far as Stolas is concerned, Blitz didn't do anything wrong here. The one thing I would and do fault him for is the yelling and trying to fight Stolas during the last episode. That was just stupid, unnecessary, and hurtful. But everything else was completely on Stolas. Blitz saw Stolas as a stuck-up prince who sees imps as lesser beings, because he behaves that way. If he's not using them for sex, they're his stress toys. And if it's not that, he makes demeaning comments referring to them as little ones. He literally calls Blitz his impish little plaything when it comes to rescue the IMP gang from the US government. Blitz thought that their whole relationship was transactional. Because what the fuck else would you call a relationship in which one person sleeps with the other in order to earn money? After saving them from the government, Stolas even asked Blitz if he's gonna get a thank you for doing so. Bro literally wanted to get laid as a thank you for saving Blitz's fucking life. And he said it so casually, you'd swear that all he'd done is pick up his dry cleaning. Look, I know that Blitz has his own issues, and he did sleep with Stolas just to get the book the very first time this happened. He's got his own shit to sort out. But making it seem as if he's the bad guy in this relationship, where the other person has basically been forcing him to sleep with him since day one, is just disgusting. Don't agree with me? Well, I've got one more point to make. And it's not one that I really want to make.
Have you ever even apologized once in your life?
Alright, so I don't like making this point because a lot of people like to use it in the stupidest of circumstances, and quite frankly, I don't want to be associated with those people. However, I do know that for some people, it can legitimately be difficult to see the toxicity in a relationship like this without viewing it through this lens. So this is mostly just to help those people out. The point I want to make is quite simple. What if Blitz was a woman? And what if this was a straight couple? Now, before you dismiss it, think about it. What if you had a 30-something-year-old woman from a lower-class background who started her own business? She was abrasive, selfish, destructive to both herself and the people around her. She was an exact clone of Blitz. Except, she was a woman. Would you still be saying that Stolas is the victim here? The man whose resources her livelihood depends on. He develops feelings for her and wants to change the nature of their relationship and make it so that she can freely choose to be with him. But he never addresses all of the catcalling, ignoring her discomfort, and playing it off for laughs. In fact, he himself thinks that he's the victim because she's got commitment issues, and the story tries to get you to see him as the victim, instead of getting this guy to reflect and realize all of the places where he screwed up and try to become better so that both characters can work on being better people. In a relationship like that, where the man had all the power and would happily use that power to get her to do what he wants, but then later claim to be the victim, would y'all still be cheering? Because I know I'm not. And that's why I don't see Stolas as the victim. Not because he's evil, not because Blitz is innocent, but because the show keeps asking me to sympathize with Stolas without ever confronting the ways he contributed to this mess.
Especially that sexy little one there.
Needless to say, I don't like the fact that the two of them are together. It was way too soon. There was a lot that still needed to be addressed and problems that needed to be confronted before these two could ever actually get together. At this point, I'm just hoping that the writers realize that and decide to break them up. But even then, having two characters break up for the exact reasons that they never should have gotten together in the first place is not exactly a fun viewing experience. It just feels like a waste of time. Especially when you've made the problems in their relationship clear since the very first episode. But hey, if you watched this video and still love this pairing, feel free to tell me why in the comment section below. If there are enough of you making these comments, I'll make a video reacting to all of them or something. Until then, cheers.